Welcome, my friends. Let's get a little conversation in to up our game in this trading game. I'm telling you, I say game, but it's serious business. There's nothing gamey about it. If you treat it like a game, it's a game. If you treat it serious, it's serious. Ooh, I've got to work on doing that, saying that so much. But here is a little tidbit subject on some interesting facets of when you are trading with leverage, okay? Which is popular in the futures markets. Okay, anytime you're trading futures contracts, it's pretty much a leverage that you're trading. A lot of times it's just one for one. If you put up $20, that's $20 worth of the position that you're in for. But when you're clicking on different, the amount of leverage you want to use, you're basically borrowing that from your broker to be able to play with a trade with a higher amount of money than you actually have in the account. So if you have like $10 in your account and you say, I want to trade $10, 10x leverage, and trade this position. Basically, if the broker will facilitate that, and they'll be letting you trade with $100 worth of that position. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. But keep in mind, if this is where it gets dangerous with leverage, okay? You only have $10 in your account, but you want to trade that $10 at 10x leverage, so you're now trading $100 worth of the product. So if it goes down, if your position goes down 5%, okay, 5% of $100, that's $5. So they're taking it out of your $10 first before the broker's not gonna lose money. So if it goes down 5%, your $10 is now $5. If it goes down 10% from your starting position, you're liquidated. They'll liquidate you before it gets to that. Okay, if it gets to 8.5% and your $10 is now down to $1.50, they'll liquidate you. They'll close the trade and they'll take your entire $10 because you're being too risky, and they're not going to take the risk. Okay, your broker is not going to take the risk. Why are you expecting? I might be the only guy that's defending the brokers on this. Why are you expecting your broker to take an unnecessary risk on your gambling behavior? Okay, so of course they're going to close your position. Okay, they gave you $90 on top of your $10 in that trade. Okay, because you are their trader. So they say, okay, we'll give you $90 with your $10. Go ahead, trade that $10, 10x. But they're not going to lose their $90. They're going to close it off before they take a hit on your bad call in the market. Okay, so don't get too upset when you get liquidated like that. You've got to tweak your numbers right. That's all you've got to do. You just got to lower your leverage, get your numbers tweaked right, okay? But on the other hand, here is another point of view, and this is how I have. If I'm swinging a position, it's just spot trading. If it's a, mid-swing, okay, a lot of times we'll throw a little leverage behind it, 20x, 30x, not a big deal, okay? If it goes against me, I know what I'm getting out. But when it comes to scalping, okay, and this is just me personally, when I'm scalping, it's going up. Because the scalping, it's low money, and in my mind, it's already gone. So that's why sometimes the trades you hear when I'm talking about how we take $5 and we turn it to 50 in one session, okay, it's because we're trading with 60, 70, 80, higher numbers of leverage, okay? Because that's what the scalping is for me. It's small maneuvers. I'm in and out quick. I don't give it any chance to, I don't give it room to breathe. If it's not perfect, I don't like it, I'm out. So it's a little bit different, but what I'm really getting to today is when you're scalping and you're trading with higher leverage, one thing that you'll notice is you'll take that $5 and boom, you'll get it up to 50 in one session. And then you say, okay, you'll come back the next day. Okay, I got 50 now. I had 5 yesterday, now I got 50. Let's repeat that behavior and take the 50 to 500. Okay. A lot of times that is, it's just tricky working like that, because the more amount of money is on the table, the more the algorithm is going to pay attention to you. That seems conspiracy theory, okay? But how many times have I had a $10 position, $10 margin, 70x leverage, okay, and it go in my favor, no problem. And then how many times do I have a $100 margin at 60x leverage, a $6,000 position, just instantly go right to my stop. The amount of money makes a little bit of difference. So it's like the more money that I'm actually putting into the trade, the lower the margin, the less risk I'm taking, okay? I don't like to lose more than $5 on a trade, okay, on the scalping account, because I'm trying to take that $10 to 100, or that 5 to 50, or that 80 to 200, okay? You have to watch it, because leverage accounts, the biggest pitfall, in my opinion, on leverage, it's not the actual fact that you're being risky. It's the fact that you continue to be risky trade upon trade, okay? For example, if you're on a little streak and, the market's flowing well with you and you're keeping the leverage up, you're making money, great. But the moment that you get stopped out once, okay, you get stopped out a second time, okay, that's the time not to say, oh, I got to make that back, let me turn the leverage up. No, that's the time where you say, okay, I'm not in the zone as I was. Let's take a step back here. Let me tone it down. I'm trading with 55x leverage. Let me tone it down to 22x. Let me get a feel for the market again. Let me even go down lower, 11x, 7x. Let me get a little feel for the market again. You start getting into the zone. The market's making predictable patterns. You kind of see where they're going to make a little reversal. Okay, you can turn it back up again, But that's one thing I've found that's been helping me recently with the scalping account is when I'm getting hot, I'm turning it up. When I'm not in the zone, I start turning it down. Because in the past, a lot of times is, you work so hard, you work for a couple days, and you get that, let's say you get that $50 and you turn it into $200. That's a great job. You just did a great job. Perfect, man. You the man. That's good. That is excellent work, my friend. But when that happens, what's happened to me a lot in the past is I continue trading at that same position size, same leverage that I was to get up to there. And then I'm not feeling it, and then the losses start ticking in because I'm not downing it, if that makes sense. So if I've been trading at 44x leverage for this session the entire time, and everything's been smooth, and I'm okay, I'm still up $150 for this session, I'm good, I'm just going to keep it right here. You know, I've having to program that into myself, that when you have to recognize that moment of when, oh, okay, I'm not feeling it. Okay, I was totally off right there, totally off right here in this zone. Something's going on else on in the market. I need to step back, reassess, reevaluate, cool off, take my time. That's the time to just go ahead, just turn it down. Just turn it down, turn it down. You know, it's like a throttle. That is the best analogy I can have. I don't know why it took me 10 minutes of yapping on the phone with my friends here to come up with that analogy, and I'm sure anybody in the comments might be like, you're talking about just throttle, man. Throttle, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a great analogy. It's like a throttle button, okay? And I'm getting better at learning to control the throttle of the machine that is my scalping routine, okay? Knowing when to turn on the gas and step back, so to speak. And it's like a position today. You know, had a nice little wind down, I had a nice wind down, and then I get a halfway decent entry on a reversal coming back up. Okay, it's going up. I have my take profit up there, but halfway up there, it started doing a little shaky dance, consolidation goofiness, you know. It didn't give me that clean push up. So when I saw that, I just got out. I said, let me just get out, you know. But instead of just, you know, waiting and seeing if it eventually does go to my original take profit, you know, I thought, okay, maybe it's just cooling off here and we're probably going to go back down. So I took a position down and boom, it just ripped right through it. So, and it went right to the original take profit that I had on a previous long that I mentioned I had closed halfway through. So those kind of things, they can tend to be a little bit tricky, okay? Because see, in hindsight, when I was taking that questionable short after I closed my long halfway through, that should have been one that was a bit dialed down, because originally I had the plan for it to go up to a certain area, but instead I kept it at the same. It's not a big deal. We made money today. We're up on the day, but it's just kind of a behavior that I need to keep notice, because later in the session it ended up going to my original take profit on the long and a little bit beyond, and that would have been the moment to turn on the gas, so to speak, because that's kind of the realization I've been coming to is beginning of the day, I get some formulations going on where price could end up later in the day. And when it does actually end up there, I'm starting to see, wow, it really did get up there and it's reversing from there. Man, that's an interesting key area right there. That's where I need to go heavy from. And today was another example of that. And I did get in on the short up on the highs, but it was it wasn't really that heavy, and it's still open, still just going to keep it open until the Asian session to see what's going on. It's still looking good, but it's just interesting just to see how those positions play out, you know, and how your mind can kind of play with you, because today could have been a perfect 3 for 3, but because on my second trade, you know, I kind of closed it halfway through, you know, it kind of had me questioning myself, okay? So those are just things you have to deal with, and just understand that, you know, it's not always going to be perfect. You're not going to come to the market and you're not going to be bam, short, bam, long, bam, short, bam, bam, boom, 3 beautiful trades on the day. I'm looking great. Now, I'm still looking great today, But there was a little mix up there in between the second and third, well, in between the second and fourth trade. Trade number 3 today out of my 4 trades was garbage. It really was. Looking back on it, it was garbage. And we didn't really lose nothing on it, but it was just like, you know. So it's kind of recognizing on that behavior in myself of saying, sticking to that original plan of that extreme high is where you would want to take a short from. So I love everybody. Just a little chit chat about leverage and how your account can make big sways. You know, if your account's going from $50 to $200, back down to $30, up to $220, back down to $80, up to, $170, there's something wrong right there, okay? Because it shouldn't be like that. You have to work on learning when to recognize when you're not in the zone, dial it back. That way you're not losing as much, because the winners are coming, okay? The winning trades, they're there on the table for me. They're coming. The trick is to eliminate those losers and those streaks. And a lot of times it's hard to force yourself to make nothing as opposed to losing something, okay? That's a difficult thing, and that goes into the needing money aspect. You need to practice making nothing is better than losing anything. It really is. I'm done for the day. I'll come back tomorrow. I'm just going to make nothing today. Good. Because when you come back the next day, you're still going to have that $80 in your account. You're still going to have that $500 in your account. You're going to have that $1,200 in your account. You're not going to have blown your money on a Monday for the week, okay? So it's just kind of a focus thing and learning when to throttle it up. You know, if you're getting in there and you're just turning that dial all the way up every time you get in, believe me, I've been there. Just the only thing that's going to break you of that is getting punished over and over again, okay? You'll know when to dial it up, and you'll know when to dial it down. That's all I got. I love everybody. Peace.